Hey guys, so today I wanted to do a quick review of this little guy. So this is Yeti Lunch Box, right? The soft lunch box. You know, they also have a hard lunch box version, like a box shaped one, and also have this weird little guy. Cost around $100 Canadian, whatever that is in America. The idea of this lunchbox is to be able to hold your food cold, somewhat, food safe, all the way until lunch. So it's not really designed to hold the food cold for a whole day, right? It's just basically a few hours. That's why it has a little bit of insulation, not too much, but a little bit, which is, usually good enough until around 1 p.m. or so. The idea is that you basically open this up, put some Yeti ice on the bottom of it, right? It kind of fits perfectly, right? The smaller size Yeti ice or whatever it's called. It fits perfectly on the bottom, and then on top you can stuff some cans, whether they're big or small, the tall cans or shorter cans. It should fit them all, right? Because it's quite tall if you look from the side, right? And then over here, with a power of magnets, it snaps, and you kind of hook it onto one of these loops, and it basically you get this real nice package. So that's the theory. Let's talk about the positives and negatives of this lunchbox and how it actually performs. So basically, the construction is the positive of this item, right? Because this is a Yeti product. It's quite tough and sturdy. You can feel that you're getting your money worth. It's Yeti quality, which is great, right? It has a pretty nice material on the outside, pretty tough. You can scratch it up. It's nothing's gonna happen to it, really. It has a hard bottom over here, so it's the same kind of material on the top as the rest of the box, but it's just quite sturdy, right? Like it's more rigid compared to this soft sections of the lunchbox. Then over here you have these little loops that you attach the hook to. The interesting part here is that only these guys are loops, and this one and this one, they're not loops at all. Not sure what the reasoning was behind that. I guess you don't really need those to be loops even, but I don't know. I think it could be cool if they all were loops for some kind of cool use case that, I don't have yet, but it would be nice as well. So the idea is you stuff it and you hook it up with the hook, which creates this kind of triangular lunchbox shape. On the top you have a handle that's made out of the same material as the hooks are, but it's a little bit thicker, so it's kind of like a folded material compared to this, one layer of material here. Here there's, I think, 2 layers of material, and there's also 2 little loops on the side of the handle. Not really sure what the purpose is of that. I guess you could attach some kind of strap that would go around your shoulder, maybe use it as a little purse. I don't know. I don't think the shoulder strap is sold with the item, but I don't know, maybe double check the website. Maybe they have started selling that. I don't know. I don't remember seeing that. At least it didn't come with this in the box, so I'm not too sure. Yeah, so because this is a soft lunchbox, you can stuff it as much as you want, and based on how much you stuff it, you kind of attach it to the little loops, right? So you could attach it to the very top one when you completely stuff it. Makes it look quite a bit weird, right? If you imagine that it's packed to the brim and then you attach it to this loop, it does look a little bit strange. And the handle, it never stays the top, right? Because the top kind of folds either down or up based on how much you stuff on it. The handle is kind of a wandering handle. Sometimes it's on the side, sometimes it's on the top, sometimes it's on the front. It's a little bit strange. Over here by the hook, the hook actually is made out of metal, I believe. At least it feels extremely sturdy, which is awesome. It even has Yeti branding on it as well, which is kind of fun. It has a little loop over here for your finger, so that is down so that you can actually press it and put it into one of the loops. So based on that, they actually thought of that, which is pretty good for user experience. One thing that's not so good, in my opinion, one thing that I think they could have improved on would be this little tag over here, right? This day trip tag. It kind of feels very, very cheap. I don't know why they couldn't incorporate it into the Yeti styling, right? Because it is pretty cool when you see this box the first time, right? You see Yeti, okay, this is awesome. But it would be cool if they did something with the logo that would actually tell people what this is. So instead of Googling Yeti and trying to figure out for themselves what the heck this item is, they could see like, okay, Yeti, what is it? Daytrip, yeah, Daytrip, right? Yeti Daytrip, and then it would be quite obvious and it would stand out more from the marketing perspective. So that's one downside. The other downside of this little flap is that it just feels very cheap, right? Like, look at this. This is nicely done. It's like a rubbery material on top of already rubbery material, but this will not come off. Like, all the edges and everything is done super nicely. It's like melted into it. I think this is called RF seam welding, where they weld the two materials, this like rubbery plastic, together. And the same thing is done actually on the inside. So if we open it up and we look at this material on the inside, which is, by the way, different from the material on the outside. Outside you have this little rough kind of rubbery material, and here you have a more sleek, much easier to clean material. It's supposed to be a little bit stain resistant. I don't know, I haven't tried putting stain in it yet. But yeah, so what I was saying is the edges over here, the seams, if I can hook, go away. The seams are welded as well, right? So if something leaks on the inside, it's not going to come out if this box stays upright, right? That's the big if, because they're sealed all the way to the bottom, right? You can easily fill this up with water and it's not going to leak. But because on the top, the only thing that holds it in place is this little tiny magnet. It's not even like super strong. It's nice, but it's not extremely strong. Actually, there's more than one magnet. I just realized there's magnets in these sides as well, because they snap together. You can kind of feel that. And there's a magnet right here and, well, right here. Or maybe one of these is a metal plate. I'm not too sure. But so basically these snap together and this snaps together to kind of close it up. And it's nice. Like, obviously magnets are always very nice to see in the product because they require little to no work from us. But if this does fall down in your bag or in your truck or in your car, whatever, and you have something spilled on the inside, it will leak out, right? This is not waterproof or even really spill resistant for that matter. So that is obviously a downside. One other downside of this bag, or, well, I mean, it's like a cool feature, but at the same time it's not the most thought out feature, I would say, is its folding abilities. So what you can do is, once you take all the food out of it, right, if you're, did not bring an ice pack, which is, I mean, I don't know, why would you use this and not put a lunch pack or ice pack inside of it? Because it's not really going to keep stuff cold without an ice pack. But let's pretend that you just took like a sandwich to work and you did not put ice to it. So after you're done eating your food, right, after you took everything out, you can actually pack this quite tight, because right now you kind of have this like really weird shape. It's kind of awkward to stuff in the backpack, things like that, right? So what you can do is you basically press on the top over here, kind of folding in the sides, right, so that the Yeti logo faces up. And then what you do is you tightly fold this top over. Now this packs into, I mean, it doesn't really look like it packs really flat, but it is much flatter, obviously, compared to when it's standing. And the way to secure it is you, again, have this little hook, and there's two more loops on the back that were, that we didn't see before. The idea is that you kind of force it into one of these hooks. As you can see, that is not extremely easy to do. So somebody who has a little dexterity problems, or, maybe a little bit older generation might have a little bit of an issue doing that. Like, I don't think my parents would ever do that. That's just too much work. They would just like throw it in and just call it a day. The other thing is that there's a second hook or second loop up here. I do not know what it's for, right? Like, if I'm trying to force the hook to even get there, it's like next to impossible. Like, you see, like, I have nothing inside and I can't really reach this loop with this hook. So I don't really understand what is the purpose of that, but I mean, it is what it is. Maybe they just had an extra material. They did not want this top material to go down further. They didn't want to cover that, so they just decided to add another loop just for fun. I don't know, maybe you can hang it by that or something once it's actually folded. Like, right, like if you do that, you can hang it by that, but also you have this handle. So I don't know why you would do that, but you have that option if you really wanted to. So that's not, you know, the most user-friendly feature of this box. The other downside is this material. While it's really tough and really nice and is, you know, not extremely slippery on rocks. I mean, it's obviously slippery on slippery surfaces like a table, but on the rocks, it would not really slide down much. This material does mark up over time, right? So it is tough, but there's some coating on the top and it does come off. So as you can see over here in the corner, you see it's a little bit lighter color. And this is not dust or dirt. Like, I can't rub that off or clean that off. This is actually scratched up material. So this color does come off when you rub it against a rock or something like that. Not the best, but I mean, it is what it is. Yeti's using this material on all of their products, all of their soft products, and it is a cool material, definitely, but it does have its limitations. Now, one more thing we can look at is just kind of the build quality. I know this is not like extremely expensive product, but it does have some small issues here and there. Just wanted to mention them. So while you can see that the stitching on the loops is done incredibly well, right? Like, look at that. Super tight, lots of stitches, extremely strong, right? Like other stitches that are done over here, they look a little bit cheaper. They're not the best. They're not the most amazing stitching ever done, but they're not the worst, right? For $100, you're still getting an amazing product. Over here, the stitching is a little bit off, I would say. Like, you can see that the spacing over here is much smaller than the spacing all the way over here, right? From the stitch and the end of the material. So it's not like 100% there, but obviously for the price it's pretty good. The other thing is that these edges on the side, it's the same fabric as the loops, but it just, I don't know, it just doesn't look as nice. It doesn't look like a Yeti material product, right? Like, it's a little bit weird. It's just needs a little bit more polish, in my opinion. Of course, here we're fighting with a quite low budget, low price, but it still could be improved, right? So now for some of the improvements, or some more improvements that I could suggest for the Yeti lunchbox. One thing they could work on is making this a little bit more water resistant, waterproof. You know, one of my favorite products by Yeti, I'll just quickly show it on the camera, is this little guy, right, the sidekick. And this is done with some Velcro and magnet strip on the side, right? And something like this could be reused in here as well, right? They're fairly similar products. Actually, this one's a little bit cheaper even than this guy. But of course, I mean, this guy is a little thicker, it can fit more stuff, and it has insulation, right? This has zero insulation in it. But you could still reuse the same idea here and add more arrays of the magnets here, redesign this entrance a little bit. I know the benefit of this entrance is that it's really wide and it's easy to stuff things inside and take them out. But if you make this leak-proof, it will work a little bit better, in my opinion, right? So that's one thing that could be improved The other thing that's, I mean, is not extremely fault of Yeti, but it just is what it is. As a lunchbox, this is mostly only good for cold stuff, right? Because you have a thing called an ice pack, right? You can put that in. It keeps whatever you put inside relatively cold. But if you want to use this for warm food, then it's not the greatest. Not the greatest for multiple reasons. First reason is that where it folds, it does kind of folds. It does fold the, what do you call it, the insulation on the inside. So it does get a little bit thinner in the sections where it folds over time, right? Just because you compress the material, it provides not as strong of insulation. One thing you could do is obviously preheat this if you want to put some warm soup in, you know, like a Tupperware or something like that. When you preheat it, right, you open this up, pour some hot water in it, let it sit inside for, you know, half an hour, a couple minutes, whatever you prefer. It does preheat it slightly, but because of really large surface area, it does cool off quite quickly. So you can't really keep things warm in it for a while. It's made more for colder stuff. And also because you have a cold pack where you don't really have a heat pack that would work inside of this guy. At least I couldn't really think of anything that would work easily as a heat pack. I know there's like hand warmers, things like that, but they need oxygen to work. So if you put them in an enclosed area and close them off, they're just gonna extinguish themselves, right? They're not gonna last long. They're not gonna burn well because they feed off oxygen. So mostly this will only work for cold things and only for a few hours, right? This is just a simple lunchbox. That's the whole idea of it. It's made to keep your lunch cold-ish. If you add an ice block, it does work a little bit better, right, for till like, I don't know, 1 p.m. or so in the day. But that's about it. Don't expect too much from it. The way I use it personally is I put it in my Yeti backpack, basically to keep stuff a little bit separated from the rest of the items that I bring with me. And I do put ice in it sometimes, time to time, but not that often. I just use it more for separation of items and just kind of keeping it from getting too hot inside whatever I put in here or things like that, right? So other than that, it's a nice item. Is it worth $100? Yeah, build quality, I would say so. And the usability, I would say so, especially if you have a good use case for it. But it is on the pricey side, of course, and it's not the number one item from Yeti that I would buy. So, yeah, thanks again for sticking this far, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.